I'd like to thank you for tuning in and welcome you back to my channel. Once again, I'm Noxz, and today we'll be doing part 2 of my Alisa breakdown finale. This will conclude my Alisa breakdown series, so throughout this final segment here, we're going to be discussing her wall game. So things like bread and butter combos to do when you have your opponent on the wall, you know, Oki traps, setups, mind games, just everything kind of involving her wall game. So to get things started, I just want to briefly go through some moves that wall splat that you can use, to wall splat your opponent. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few. I'm just going to focus on the ones that I find very useful, that I use all the time. So let's start things off here with back 2-4. Now, back 2-4 is really good because it's a mid-high that's natural, it's safe, and it wall splats. Probably one of her top 3 best moves to use to put your opponent on the wall. Now, the only drawback to this is if they block that mid, they can then duck the high because it doesn't jail. So again, if they block the mid, they can duck the high. Other than that, really good move. Next we have back 3. Now, back 3 is good because it's a homing move, so if they try and sidestep to get out of the wall situation, we can use back 3 to put them right back on the wall. Same thing goes for her standing 4. It's a homing move that wall splats, so you can use both of those in the same way. Next we have while standing 3-3. Now that's really good because it's a mid-mid that's natural and wall splats. So definitely, keep that in mind, and like I mentioned before, you can set that up off something like a back 1 or something like that. And then we have back forward 2, her armor move, that wall splats as well. That will also break a wall if it's a breakable wall, so keep that in mind. Then we have boot 2. Now boot 2 will wall splat. You really can't get a whole lot off of that. There's a few cool things we can do, and we'll touch on a little bit later on in the video. But just real quick, you can get a forward 1+2. That's really easy to hit just for some quick extra damage there. And then we have 2-4, her 12 frame Punisher. Obviously really good, natural wall splats. Then we have down back 1-1. Now down back 1-1, probably another one of those moves that's your top 3 best moves to use to put your opponent on the wall. What makes it really good is not only does it wall splat, but it's +4 to +6 on block. So even if they block it, they're at an extreme disadvantage with their back to the wall. So definitely really good move. Next we have forward 4-3-4. Now forward 4-3-4 is pretty good to use to put your opponent on the wall if you think they're gonna duck, because it's natural and it will wall splat. You just want to make sure that you don't finish the string, because if you finish it, it'll cause them to slide off the wall, because that third hit will count as the hit on the wall. So you just want to kind of be careful and just do 2 if you're going to use that option. Now another thing I wanted to show you guys, gotta set it to record here real quick, is she can actually wall splat off of her parry. So you can use that. Now again, that's another one of those situations where you're not going to get a whole lot from it. There's something cool we can do. Again, we'll cover a little later on in the video, but if you just want that real quick follow-up damage, you can do that forward 1+2. Now that pretty much covers it for the moves that I want to mention that you can put your opponent on the wall with. Next, I want to talk about kind of her bread and butter, what to do once you put your opponent on the wall. Now one thing to keep in mind with Alisa is, when did you put them on the wall? If you're putting them on the wall like right here off of something like a back 2-4, we have a few different options, right? And again, I'm going to go over just her bread and butter ones, her main wall options if you're just trying to get damage. So we have 1-2, forward 1+2, which is my favorite thing to do. And then we have forward 1+2, 2. Now those are probably her 2 most damaging wall options. Her actual most damage is this, forward 4-3-4-4. That's 1 more damage. And you can press 1+2 at the end of that and bring your chainsaws out, so they're waking up, dealing with all that. So that's actually her most damaging, but I find 1-2 and forward 1+2 just more useful and better utility, in my opinion. But definitely use what you're most comfortable with. And that's kind of like her main kind of bread and butter damage on the wall. And the thing to keep in mind is if you put your opponent on the wall after a tailspin, like say you do some kind of wall carry option, and you don't have time to dash in and do the 1-2 forward 1+2, You're almost always in those situations going to want to use forward, forward, 1 plus 2, 2. Because it covers so much distance and it's fast, you'll be able to catch them before they slide off the wall. And it does really good damage, plus it leaves you in destructive form, so now they're waking up and dealing with all this, right? So definitely, you know, keep that in mind. If you put them on the wall right here, and we just want raw damage, we can do 1, 2, forward, 1 plus 2, or forward, forward, 1 plus 2, 2, or forward, forward, 3, 4, 4. It just depends on what you want to do. Again, I prefer the first two options over the third one, but it's just entirely up to you. So now I want to talk a little bit, you know, start getting into her kind of setups. I just wanted to go over the basics of the bread and butter wall options and go over those wall splat moves. But now that we're kind of on the same page with that, we can get into setups here. So one of my favorite setups to use, I use all the time actually, set our opponent to guard everything, is off of back 2-4. Now this is safe like we mentioned, so we definitely know that we can't get punished for this. However, our opponent most of the time will either try and punish it with the jab because they think they can, or they know that we're not unsafe, but we're not at any kind of advantage, so we can't start a pressure. So a lot of times in those situations, your opponent's going to want to do their fastest move to get out of that situation, right? And everyone's fastest move is a jab, which is a high. So we would do something like back 2-4. They block this. They try to throw out something like a jab. We do down back 1-1. That's going to crush their high and wall splat them. I use it all the time, and it's really good. And one of the better things about it is if they block the down back 1-1, they choose not to push a button, then we're at +4, +6. Their back's against the wall, and they're at all kinds of disadvantage. We can throw a standing 4 out. If they push any button, they're getting wall splatted. If they don't push a button, we're safe and still in their face at the wall. So it's just a really, really, really good thing to do. Now, again, you know, these are setups, right? So there's definitely things our opponent has to be able to get out of these situations. Like, for example, they can duck that because it doesn't jail. Or they can block that and then duck the down back 1-1. So just keep those things in mind, fill out your opponent, see how they play, and then, you know, use setups according to count, you know, that will counter their play style, is what I was trying to say. So, you know, but this is definitely a really, really, really good setup. I use it all the time. It's just for whatever reason, people want to push a button after that, and this will crush it. And if not, we're at frame advantage, so we can kind of play with them from there. So that's really good as well. So now I want to talk a little bit about one of my favorite setups to do after we put our opponent on the wall. Now again, I do 1-2 forward 1 plus 2 instead of forward forward 1 plus 2, and the reason that is because I prefer for my opponent to be waking up without me in destructive form most of the time. So what I like to do is I'll do down back 4 immediately after that. And what's really good about that is it'll hit them if they roll left, if they roll right, if they stay laying down, or if they stand straight up. All, you know, it's going to hit all those options. And what it's going to do is it's going to make our opponent want to get up ducking in the corner. So that's what we're trying to do here, is conditioning them. That's the reason for the down back 4. So we do the wall combo, and then we do a down back 4. They're going to want to block that low in the future, and we know this, so we use that to our advantage. But what makes down back 4 really cool in the corner is if it hits them while they're standing, you get while standing 1 guaranteed. Now this allows for kind of an interesting little setup here. So we hit with down back 4, we do while standing 1, right? Again, the while standing 1's guaranteed. So then what we do is we whiff the 2. So we do while standing 1-2. When we whiff the 2, our opponent's going to see that as, you know, an opportunity for them to get out. They saw us whiff, so most likely they're going to want to wake up and do a get up kick or something like that, something quick that's going to hit us, start a combo for them, and allow them to get out of the corner. So a really cool thing we can do is, let's do wake up low kick. Really cool thing we can do is after we whiff the 2, we just finish the string. So we do down back 4 while standing 1, 2, 3, and it should look something like this. He tried to do a get up kick, he got wall splat, now he's, you know, right back into it. So I'll give you one more example here. So again, we hit with down back 4 while standing 1, 2, 3, standing 4, 1, 2, forward 1 plus 2, right? And they're just back into it. So really, really, really good way to get your opponent back on the wall for a lot of damage. So that's a good setup I use often. So now they're afraid of the low, right, after you hit them in the corner. So we can do, now that we're in their head, they go to wake up, boom, we just hit them with back 2-4, put them right back on the wall, right? They're afraid of the low, so we hit them with back 2-4 to put them back on the wall. Another good thing we can do is say our opponent wants to roll. We can do something like this. Sidestep with them. Oops. And then do that. So that's really good too. A lot of people won't see that coming. If you notice your opponent's on the ground and they're rolling and you don't want to go for the down back 4, you can sidestep with them and then do spam bomb. And a lot of times that's going to catch them off guard. So that's another really, really good kind of throw setup to use on the wall, because it kind of keeps them on the wall. So that's really good. So again, just remember, we use the down back 4 to condition our opponent to want to duck. And once we get them wanting to duck, then we kind of can play with them as we want. Now anytime we put them on the wall, they're going to be so afraid of down back 4 that most likely they're going to want to duck. And then we just go right into, back 2-4 or back 3 or something like that to put them on the wall. I would use back 2-4, but it's whatever your preference is. So let's talk now about her chainsaw game on the wall, right? Now again, Alisa chainsaws are not really used much for combo damage. They're more used for poking and annoying and mixing your opponent up, right? But that being said, let's kind of go over what we do on the wall with it. So we put them on the wall, they're waking up, we have saws out, right? Typically you're going to want to do down 1 on wake up, because again, just like the down back 4 off the other setup, it's going to make our opponent want to duck. And that's what we want to do. Having our opponent on the wall, it's all about conditioning them to want to duck, so we can keep putting them on the wall over and over until we win, right? So again, they're waking up, we hit them with down 1, right? Now if they think down 1's coming, then that's where we can mix up with like a standing 1, or if you want something better, we can mix up with a forward 1+2, right? So forward 1+2 on the wall, it's kind of hard to get a lot of combos, like a lot of combo potential from it, but you could do something like down 2 is going to be guaranteed, right? And it's going to leave them waking up with you still in saws. So I like that. You can also do 1+2 immediately after that, and that'll do 50 damage, so it's a little bit more damage. And again, they're waking up still dealing with saws, right? Now as far as wall combos go with her chainsaws, because of the changes they've made in this game with the tailspin, she doesn't really have any really good wall combos with chainsaws. Not saying she doesn't have any, she just doesn't have good ones like she did in Tekken 6, in my personal opinion. So standing 2 is going to wall splat them, right? Now we know that forward 1's +11 on hit, we've been over this. So if we hit them on the wall with this, we know we can do standing 2. If they push a button, they're getting launched, right? Or we wall splat them, right? And they're afraid of the low, they wake up to block the low, and they get launched, right? So that's the way to use that. Now, if you put them on the wall, you can do 2-1, and then you can do the whole normal type thing. I think we can do a little better than that, though. I think you do 2-1 standing 4. No. Okay, yeah. So, really, that's probably one of your better things. I think we might be able to get a little bit more damage. Oops. If we do this. No, same damage. So there's just a couple examples of things you can do. You can also do this, which I really like to do, because what that'll do is just like 40 damage, 40 something damage, but allows me to put my chainsaws away after it, so I can go into the down back 4, back 2-4, reset opportunity. So I really like that. So a couple things again just to keep in mind with the chainsaws. They're more about poking and a nuisance, not really about a lot of combo damage. And there's certain situations they're good for combo damage, but mostly it's just about poking and annoying our opponent and just chipping away at their health. So again, they're waking up, we got down 1, and then we can mix that up with forward 1+2 or standing 2. Remember to use 1+2 when you have your saws out and their back is to the wall, because it is a homing move. It will wall splat them, right? So keep that in mind. That's a really good move to use with your opponent's back towards the wall. And because Alisa's destructive form 1+2 is 0 on block, it's a really good move to do, because they could block that, and then you could do a down 1, and if they attack, a lot of times that down 1 is going to go under it and crush them. So that's really good. Also, if they're waking up, this is one application I have found for this move where it's kind of useful, is you could do that right there. The back 2-1 when they're waking up. If you think they're going to wake up, you know, blocking low, that's going to knock them down and allow for another setup. So there's just a couple things you can do with the chainsaws. Again, you know, my favorite thing to do is when I have them in the corner, I just harass them with forward ones and down ones, because both of those are going to want to get them to duck, right? They can duck the high and they can block the low. So I just harass them with those, and as soon as we get them in a situation where we're in their head and we know they're going to duck, that's when we go for the forward 1+2, or we go, you know, for the whole standing 2 wall combo, and then back into more chainsaw mix-ups. So that's just a brief rundown of a way to use your chainsaws in the corner. One other thing I want to mention, remember down 2 is really, really, really good, right? 6 hits if you hold it, all 6 hits will hit in the corner. It's 30 damage, so, you know, one more example, we knock our opponent down, they're waking straight up, we can go into that. 30 damage, it's all natural, they just have to sit there and eat all of it. So that's another really good thing, you know, move to use in the corner. So just keep those in mind. And again, you know, mess with back 2-1. If you find a better application for this, let me know, because I don't like the move, but I would like to like the move. So if you find a better application for it, let me know. The best thing I found is on wake up in the corner, because then we can go back into, you know, it's all about, when you have your chainsaws out, it's all about doing things that put us back in that same position where now they have to deal with it again. What is he going to do? And you just want to annoy them that way. So that's a quick rundown on her kind of chainsaw wall game. I hope it was helpful. Next, we're going to get into the final part of the video, which is going to be kind of the more tricky, advanced type stuff of the video, and we're going to focus more on spikes. So Alisa has, what, 3 spike moves, I want to say. One is the hop kick, which we've been over before, right? I've talked about it. It's good for something like that, but I'm not the biggest fan of the hop kick. So Alisa has back 2-1, that will cause a spike, and then Alisa has back 4-3, that will also cause a spike. So we know that our normal combo that we do on the wall, I think it's 56 damage, right? Yeah, 56. So now we put them on the wall and we're going for a spike. Now I use back 4-3, you can use whichever one you prefer, right? I don't know how much difference the damage is. Yeah, it's 1 less damage for that. And I hope, yeah, don't even use the hop kick option. So back 4-3 is the more damaging spike, and I find it a little easier. Now in this game, when you spike someone, depending on how they wake up, depends on our follow-up attack if it's going to be guaranteed or not. And what I mean by that is if we hit them with this spike, right, 48 damage, if they hold back and they stand straight up, nothing is guaranteed off of this. But if they don't hold back to get right up, if they try to attack, if they try to roll or tech in a different direction, you're going to be able to get a free hit. Now Alisa has down back 1+2. That's an extra 20 damage. So we just turned 48 damage into 68. Right, so 68 is more than our normal wall combo, so it's definitely giving us more damage, just 12 more damage. Now again, this is a setup and it's not guaranteed, right? But the only way out of it is for your opponent to hold back. So again, you know, we put them on the wall, we do the spike, down back 1+2 is gonna hit them on the ground. If they do anything except for hold back, anything else they do, it's gonna hit them. So keep that in mind. Now something else she can do off of a spike, which is really her better option, but is way more timing specific. Let's see if I can get it, and that's down 2-4. So we do the spike, you have to wait a half a second, and then you can do down 2-4. Now that's the better option because that's 30 damage. It's guaranteed, the same as the down back 1+2, as long as they don't hold back, right? And it gives us 30 damage. So now we just turned that 48 damage combo into 78 damage. Plus we can bring our chainsaws out after down 2-4 if you press 1+2. So now they're waking up on the wall again with our chainsaws out, right? So now we got, you know, the down 1, forward 1, all the shenanigans we just talked about. So that's really her best damage as far as off of the spike. Now one thing to remember if you're trying to use down 2-4 is if you do it too fast. See, I did it right. But if you do it too fast or you don't time it right, it'll do that right there. It'll kind of kick off axis. So just experiment with the timing. You need to wait like a fraction of a second to be able to get that to hit right where it puts them back on the wall. Otherwise you'll get that weird off axis thing. So just mess around with that. But again, that's her best thing, but definitely the more easier option is down back 1+2. And the cool thing about that is if they want to just stay there, I mean, you can just like keep doing it, right? So keep that in mind. You can kind of abuse that a little bit if your opponent doesn't want to get up blocking low, or they just want to lay on the ground. We can just keep shooting them with rockets over and over and over again. So that's kind of fun. So again, the down 2-4 is the more option, you know, the more damaging option, and it does leave you some chainsaws, so it allows for more of a nuisance mix-up afterwards than, you know, the down back 1+2. But the down back 1+2 is way, execution-wise, it's just way easier. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. Now, the setup that we have here is, so say they're getting up right. Okay, say they want to get up and holding back. Now remember, holding back is the only way they can get out of that extra ground damage, right? So now we know that their only way out of that is to hold back. So we can bait that, right? We can bait that way out because we know that's their only way. So instead of doing down back 1+2 right there, they're going to want to hold back to get straight up so that they don't get hit by it. Then we can sneak in a down back 4. And then go into, you know, the whole while standing 1, 2, 3, or just the while standing 1 for that extra guaranteedness. And then, you know, go into another low. However you want to do it after that, it's up to you. Another really, really good thing that will catch a lot of people off guard is if they're afraid of the spike damage, if they're afraid of that and they're holding back to avoid it, they're not thinking about much else. So you can do something like the spike and then wait and immediately into her spam bomb. That's going to work really well, because they're just trying to get out of that ground damage. They're not thinking about the throw. So a throw will come out really fast. So that's a really good setup for that. Another thing you could do is down 3+4 into down 2-4, just like you saw me do there. So again, they're going to stand straight up to get out of the ground damage. We can throw that out, and then down 2-4 chainsaws back into mix-ups, right? So it's really, really good. So just a couple things to, you know, give you if they do wake up. You know, those are ways we can make them want to stop waking up or to wake up ducking, which is what we really want. And if we get them afraid of those low options, then again, you know, we do the spike. They're going to get straight up blocking low, back 2-4, back into the corner, into the whole thing over and over and over again. It really can steal a round away from someone really fast using these techniques as far as just the amount of damage she'll get out of nowhere. So next I want to give you guys a setup for down back 2-2. This first setup I'm going to show you is off of Alisa's down back 4 into the guaranteed while standing 1. So similar to the while standing 1, 2, 3, only instead of finishing it immediately after doing while standing 1, we do down back 2-2. If they try to do a get up kick or wake up pushing a button, we're going to hit them on counter hit and be able to get big damage. So let me give you an example. So I mean, as you saw there, they went to do the get up kick, we got counter hit, and unless they shake that stun, that's 85 to 88 damage guaranteed if they don't shake the stun. So that's a really, really good way to set up down back 2-2. Again, you know, we do down back 4, while standing 1, down back 2-2. If they wake up trying to attack, that's going to hit on counter hit, making it natural, making all that wall damage guaranteed unless they shake the stun. So another good setup for down back 2-2 that I like to use, that I probably use a little bit more often, is we do whatever we want, right? We put their opponent on the wall. They're waking up. We backdash on wake up, and what that does, we backdash because we think our opponent's going to attack, right? So as soon as we backdash, we do down back 2-2. Now if they push a button, a lot of times if they wake up and they push a button and you backdash, that's going to hit on counter hit, and then it's going to lead, you know, to all that like we saw earlier. So definitely, you know, use those two things. Those are really good ways to make down back 2-2 very viable option in the corner. Just remember the stun can be shake, the move is not safe, and it's not natural unless it's on counter hit. So it's definitely a situational tool. But under those two, situations I just showed you, it's a really, really good way to set it up. I wouldn't recommend just being in their face on the corner and just throwing it out blindly, unless you think your opponent's going to attack and you're going for a counter hit. But for the most part, you want to use down back 2-2 in the corner off of a setup, so off of something like the down back 4 while standing 1, or off of a knockdown, and then you backdash and do down back 2-2. If you backdash, a lot of times your opponents may think, hey, I can get out right now, so let me punch them. And then they don't know that, that's just setting up for the down back 2-2, and that'll hit on counter hit. So another thing I want to give you guys here, let me go ahead and set our opponent to guard all, is back forward 2. So back forward 2, a lot of people think it's unsafe, right? It's not. It's only -9. I was watching Eris's channel, and he was watching a tournament, and obscure Alisa player from America was playing, and he kept doing that, and every time someone blocked it, Eris was like, punish it, punish it. And the reason I bring that up is because most people think that this is unsafe, but it's not. It's only -9. So a good setup we have off of this is her parry. So because everyone tends to think this move's -10, and they're going to try and jab punish it, meaning they're going to throw a high out after they block it, it's a really good parry setup. So you can do back 2+4. And on the wall, if we do this on the wall, they're going to get wall splat. And I showed you before, the forward 1+2 is just really quick, easy follow-up damage. But what you can actually do off of it, now that we've been over the spikes, is you can do the whole spike thing. So you can do back 4-3, down back 1+2, right? You can do that whole thing off the parry wall splat and off the boot 2 wall splat. And you can actually do whatever spike you like. It doesn't really matter. Again, I'm always going to use back 4-3, but that's just me. So that's just a really good setup to use her parry on the wall. Again, your opponent's back towards the wall. You throw back forward 2. If it hits, it wall splats. Great. If they block it, then we throw back 2+4. They try to punish it. They knock our head off, and they get wall splatted. And then we can do the whole spike thing. So again, back 4-3, down back 1+2, or down 2-4, 1+2, whichever you prefer. I would recommend getting good at doing the down 2-4 just because that's 10 more damage. So, I mean, that can be the difference between winning and losing a round. So it's entirely up to you. One thing to keep in mind too is Alisa's head parry parries all highs. That means throws, unblockables, anything that's a high, this is going to parry it. So keep that in mind. So again, just a really good parry setup for the wall. It's really good anywhere, but on the wall you can get the most out of it because we can get the spike combo after. So again, we can do back 4-3, down back 1+2, and get like 60 damage off of the parry. So that's really good. So that wraps it up for my Alisa breakdown series. I really hope it helped you guys. As always, if you did find it helpful, please leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel for more content. Please comment any questions you have, anything maybe I didn't go over well enough in my tutorial that you need more answers on. Please feel free to ask me in the comments. I'll make sure to get back to you. Also, don't forget, if you guys find an application for back 2-1 in destructive form, please let me know in the comments because I'm definitely interested in finding better uses for that move. Also, I'm thinking about doing top 10 moves for Alisa and maybe even an entire move list breakdown. So please let me know in the comments if that's something you guys would like to see. I'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time.